Works now. All right. Okay. I have no idea why it wasn't working before. Okay. All right. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. Right home.
I'm here.
How's that, guys? He might. On my thing, it looks like he's really loud now, but I'm sure he works. It should work now. I have no idea what happened, but the classic fix: turn it back, turn it off, turn it right back on again. Yeah, it works. So sorry about that. Good thing.
Classic.
That was weird. Hello. All right. Anyway, so yeah. Oh, Ryan the hero. Ryan the hero. Thanks, Ryan Hero, for the follow. You rock. Thank you, Ryan. Let's see. Glad we fixed that issue. Yes, loud and clear. Cool. Awesome. Glad it's all loud and clear. All right. So yeah, yeah. So for I will try this. I think I've had an Irish Mule. I think I have. Now that I think about it, I'm gonna look it up real quick. But Brave Bull. You have any other drinks you want to wrap up real quick with this concept?
Not really. Just like I said, straight tequila is the best way to go if you just want to have a good time.
Yeah, I've had an Irish Mule before, or something like that, the vodka mule, and I've had an Irish Mule. They are really, really good. I like those type of drinks. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if I could have one drink, one last drink, like the Earth was going down and the ball of firing rock, the bar was stocked, it had anything I wanted, and I could ask for one freaking drink from that, I'd ask for an ice house, a freezing cold ice house beer. I will want to watch the world burn to an ice house because it will be as bad as it always is. It won't change. Nothing will be better. It won't be better. It won't be. It'll just be what it is, and I can watch the world go out. So yeah, I know. Shocking, right? Shocking. It's an ice house beer. For all the awesome whiskeys I drink, that's what I want to go out at. So let's go into this alcohol talk. I'm going to go to a blog post. He's friend of the show of We Are Libertarian, indiepolitics.org. It's Abdul Hakim Shabaz's website. He does a very good job of concentrating and focusing on Indiana and showing us basically how we act stupid. And it's pretty cool to watch this guy from Illinois come over here and kind of show it is, just basically show Indiana to itself. Just a big mirror. It's awesome. I love the site. So,
yeah, if he was still trying to do it in Illinois, he would be way too busy and could never function.
Or shot. Let's get it straight. They would have disbarred him or did something so he would stop. Okay. All right, so Senate panel throws out cold water on expanding cold beer sales. So like I said, now we can buy cold beer here in Indiana, but you can only buy cold beer from a liquor store. If you're a grocery store, you have to sell room temperature beer. Our beer is regulated like that. And if you want to sell hard liquor and you're on a liquor store, you have to have a pharmacy. So that's why there's lots of... So if you ever visit Indiana and you want to know why in the heck there's pharmacies every freaking feet, why does every store go to these pharmacy? Because they need it to sell liquor. So helps out if you have to do medications. You can go anywhere and get medication. No drive-through liquor stores either. I don't think we're allowed to have a drive-through liquor store. I think that you just get that in Ohio.
You can get that in Tennessee too. Driving down to Florida, you stop in Tennessee and you can get drive-through liquor, you can buy fireworks all on the same exit and just go have a good time.
It's crazy. That's crazy. But like the other thing, like here in Indiana, I could go to Edwards Drive-In, not leave my car, get a massive tenderloin, right?
Oh, Edwards is my place, man. I grew up there. My favorite.
Yeah, that's the place there. That's a place will like make me any diet I'm on, I quit. It's the weakness if I smell it. It's okay now that I'm not close to it and I don't have to see it every day. It's easy. But if you drive by it, it's like I gotta stop. That and Mug and Bun. Oh man, Mug and Bun. Oh man, I remember what. Anyways, I'm gonna get off this because I'll just tell you the story how it went from 135 pounds to 180 pounds very quickly because of Mug and Bun. All right, so Indiana lawmakers look like So, a measure that would be expanded cold beer sales in Indiana was defeated by 9-1 by a Senate panel, but proponents say they'll be back next year. The Senate Public Policy Committee turned down a measure that would allow convenience and grocery stores the opportunity to sell cold beer. Currently, only liquor stores can sell cold beer. Like I said, proponents like Jay Ricker of Ricker's Convenience Store said it was giving consumers choice. However, opponents cited public safety and dangers of alcohol. You can hear Ricker in the Leon Taylor in his Leon Taylor audio above, and it runs for not 9 minutes. If you guys want, we can listen to it, but I've listened to it. It's really great audio. I'd say go to any. Here, I'll drop into the chat if you guys want to go to it. I can play. Should I? I'm always like wondering if I should play it or not. Okay, I'll play the 9-minute clip real quick.
Hey guys, it's Abdul for the good folks over at Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware, downtown Indianapolis. No, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions because why put off and do next year what you can do now? So make your New Year's resolution today and get over to Leon Tailoring and update that wardrobe. That's right, that coat you got, you probably realize it's not keeping as warm as it should be, or maybe that suit's got some tear around the edges, those skirts and blouses just aren't doing it for you anymore. Well, Larry, Norm, Kim, and Judy got a wide selection of both ready-made and tailor-made stuff for your picking. So like I said, make your New Year's resolution today. Make it Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware, and downtown Indianapolis. All right, Jay Ricker, 8-1 Senate Policy Committee turns.
Jay Ricker's of Ricker's gas station, the gas station in Indiana. What they did was they didn't find a loophole. They basically worked in the way of the law to be able to give them access to be able to sell cold beer there, because the way the law worked, you had to have, dine-in sales to so many chairs. Do you remember, Reinhold?
I do not.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it was. You have to have so many. You have to have like dine-in service for food to be able to sell cold. To sell cold beer. Yep. Several different places have done this. It's which people will call like this is a loophole. Like, but no, they're just they're just going with the way the law says, and it just so happens that they're also a convenience store, and people are upset about it. But the Ricker's gas station
Wasn't there a restaurant that had a menu that was basically you could buy a hot dog?
Yes.
On Sunday, that was their only menu, and then you could buy beer along with it.
There's several different bars actually in Indiana like that. I've been to several that had the $30 Hot Pocket.
And they didn't really want to sell the hot dog, so they charged like $10 for the hot dog or something.
Yeah, ridiculous amount for it. Or like Triton, they're like, oh, we make pretzels, and they just allow food trucks to go there. But they finally got their kitchen started. And they were supposed to get started in June, but yeah, it's like just to sell beer and stuff like that. You have to offer food. You have to have food. You can't just do the booze. It's crazy.
Well, I find it ironic that the people who are arguing for the exemption because of saying that it's a danger to the people to have cold beer on Sunday is okay for the rest of the week, and it's okay for their interests to sell it on Sunday. It's just not good enough for convenience stores to do it on Sunday. What's different about Sunday than the rest of the week?
Right.
It makes no sense.
Right, exactly. The bars in thank you to Tobertus in the chat, like, New Albany, and they have menus to other, like, their local businesses around because they want to do booze, because that's what their business is basically they're trying to force someone into a business that's not what they're doing. That's not what they want to do. So, well,
it's unintended consequences too of every single law like this. They think they're going to stop it. They're not going to stop it. They're just going to create loopholes that people are going to work around because it's what people want. It's what the society wants to have. So they should be not trying to fight against what the society wants, in my opinion. Correct.
Yeah, that's also like I think one of the reasons why Indiana's microbrewery industry has flourished so much, because they're open on Sundays. You can go there and pick up beer on Sundays. Granted, a lot of the time it's slightly more expensive than like Bud Light or whatever, like the regular American beers, but I can get this on Sunday, and I do like it and I do enjoy it and I partake into it. But I really do enjoy getting cold beer on Sunday from the brewery. It's nice. I love doing it. So, so like that's also like a consequence of the market. It's like, is the you start thinking like the main reason we've got all these microbreweries is because of this. It's just the same way like out in New Hampshire, they've got those rules for the nano breweries, smaller than our microbreweries, so they just skirt the different liquor laws out there. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and play.
Down cold beer sales, expanded convenience stores, liquor stores. First of all, your reaction.
Well, I was heartened when we started off because they've never had a hearing on cold beer before in the history of this committee. What's perplexing to me is that as I went around and talked to all the members of public policy, they normally debate amendments. You don't have just one big bill. You've got all kinds of ancillary, and this one had all kinds of things, but they weren't allowed to have any amendments.
Did that make a difference? And at least one senator suggested that.
Oh, no, it made a difference in probably about 4 of them, because they said to me, they go, well, why are we having amendments? And I go, well, I'm not in charge of that. I said, you need to ask. And I would pose that as a question that you need to ask, why they wouldn't have any amendments. They wanted to have a clean bill. To me, a clean bill in the past, in my limited knowledge of what's going on, is one where they didn't want a Christmas tree of a whole bunch of things. And that's not what we were talking about here. In fact, if you heard my testimony, I think we needed to have 21. I think we needed to have training. I think they needed to do away with items that they couldn't sell at convenience stores. We talked about having a fund they could use either for the ATC or for soft landing on mom and pops. That's not my decision, but the pool of money's there. It doesn't come out of tax monies. It's coming out of our hide on that. So, but they wouldn't allow any of those amendments. But I had senator after senator ask me about that, and I said, that's not in my purview.
Jay, for you, what's next in this fight?
Well, we're not going to give up. There's actually a couple bills over in the House. Senator Gard, I think she was quoted as saying we're going to get one this year, and she thinks the other one we should look at down the road. And so we're going to be back. We're not going to give up on this. It's one of the things that I've talked about. We have better things to talk about than cold beer. I mean, yes, it makes a difference to me, but we need to go on to the things that are more important.
Jay, one of the things that's popped up that I heard a lot of people say, particularly the opposition, is if you were to allow cold beer sales at grocery stores and convenience stores, you literally open up thousands of new avenues for alcohol consumption, and some folks just weren't quite comfortable with so many places being able to sell alcohol and what they would consider expanded cold beer sales. What's your reaction to that argument that was brought up today?
Well, I talked about that in my testimony, and I bring it up every time, and some people conveniently seem to ignore what I'm saying. There's a quota system on licenses here. You cannot get a license in a whole lot of places. The reason I got a restaurant permit in 2 different locations was there's no grocery permit available. So the only difference that's going to be in the vast, vast majority of the state is you're going to be able to sell the same product you've been selling cold instead of warm. You're still selling the same thing. In my mind, you don't really need a whole lot more people to police it because it's the same thing right there. You can't go out and get a license. I don't have licenses at all my stores because they're not available. So I think that is a argument that doesn't really hold a lot of water.
Yeah, the argument about the whole licensing thing too is because the market doesn't also set how many liquor stores do you have, how many things that can serve booze like that. It's that pool that everyone has to pull from, and that's why every time you a bar will get into trouble or something like that, they'll instantly just pull up shop, sell their inventory, and then end up selling their license. I've seen a lot of different bars that I loved. Was the owner was he's waiting for it to go down and die because he was just trying to sell his liquor license for the establishment, because he was done, he was retired for it, even though the bar had some people in it, we loved it, but he wanted to sell. I get it.
9-1 is a pretty resounding vote. Is that too big of a hurdle to overcome this session?
I ask people that are advising us, and since I've met with every one of those no votes and knew what their problems were with the bill, it almost always was something that could have been taken care of, not in all cases, but in many cases, an amendment.
What does this mean for your stores right now? And because I know there's supposed to be the timeline coming up that will expire your licenses to sell cold beer. Are you going to try to maybe get the law amended so you folks should be grandfathered in, or have you figured out that far down the road yet?
Haven't really thought about that. It's only 2 stores, and then the other 2 that have restaurant permits. But I don't feel real comfortable about that if that's what we decide to do, because they grandfathered every single other one out there except our 2 stores. So I have a feeling that's going to be kind of futile if that's where we decide to go. And I'm not saying that's where we're going to try and go.
Yeah, that's the also BS thing is that they were so upset at the Ricker's gas station like that. You could tell it was like that contempt of the Indiana Senate, basically that they're going to make sure everyone else is grandfathered in except them. That's why it's really is like, you ticked us off, you pissed us, you did we told you not to do this, you found a way, and you did it anyway, so we're going to hurt everyone, so we're going to let everyone else go, but not you. You're going to get screwed over still. It's awful. They really are targeting a business,
I know you addressed this earlier, but for those of us who just came here, could you talk about the process that unfolded? I heard you mention something about amendments that weren't allowed to be heard in committee. Could you expand on that?
First, I had good things to say, which was we've never had a hearing about cold beer ever in the history of this public policy. They've just never allowed it. So I really appreciate that. And we had a great discussion, and Senator Alting actually alluded to that today. What perplexed me was, and I'm not a legislative expert, is that there are usually amendments when you just have one thing, like it's just Sunday sales or it's just cold beer. There are amendments because there's some issues, and that's where it's debated in that committee. So,
thank you for the follow. Thank you.
You have people on this committee who are used to debating if there's going to be an amendment or not be an amendment. They weren't allowed to do that this time. And we had a number of the people that I talked to a couple of times who said, I could get comfortable with this, I believe, but it needs an amendment to make me comfortable. And the things that they wanted to amend are a whole lot of the things that I talked about, which was 21-year-old clerks, training, do away with the products they can't sell. I mean, those are the kind of things that I probably forgot one or two. But and Senator Alting, when we met with him, was in total agreement on all the things that we thought should be added to it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like it was. He's not in there trying to throw like this massive that radical libertarian message on this thing. Like anyone should be able to sell it. There should be 14-year-olds selling booze out there. He was like, nope, 21-year-olds. I'm fine with that. Let's put some training on it. Some excise training. Which most people selling booze. It's the laws on it are very dangerous. So training with selling booze and how to make sure someone's not buying outside their if they're under 21, or just to understand different how to check for bad IDs, how to make sure someone's not inebriated when they're buying alcohol, because you can't buy alcohol in the state of Indiana if you're already under the influence of alcohol. So the idea to get someone being super drunk and going on a beer run, well, you're not, by law, you're not supposed to. You can't buy once you're inebriated that much. So,
the liquors, the people who sell the liquor are under obligation. If they do sell it to someone who's too inebriated and they get too drunk, they become responsible.
Correct. Well, the same way at the convenience stores. The convenience stores, bartenders, anyone who sells booze in Indiana, that's the same way. Because even if you're at a grocery store, you notice someone like that. And the thing is also they also bring up the excise statistic for the main people who are busted for buying underage gets busted through excise. That most of the time that is liquor stores. The only thing that convenience stores get busted on all the time is when it comes to cigarettes. That's the only thing they get busted with the excise excise statistics, because most of the time at convenience stores, most of the cashiers are 16 and 18 years old. So when a booze comes around, they have to go get a manager. And that manager walks over. So that's one guy. This is his only job. I've seen it in their Kroger time. He's there. He's got all these 16-year-olds in front of him, and he's just there. Hey, you're selling booze? And he comes over, and he scans and looks at your ID for you. So you've got this one guy completely trying on how to do that. So it's going to be very, very hard to get get under 21 booze out of there. So the best thing to do.
And the same with cigarettes too. You can't. Mm-hmm. You have to be 18 to sell it. So a lot of times when you have an underage person at a checkout, you have to have someone come over and just pump in a code and walk away again. That's all they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
But eventually.
It took years to get Sunday sales in Indiana. Was it realistic to expect to get cold beer? No, on technically, theoretically, the second try.
Yeah, that's one of those questions I don't think I want to answer. I have no idea. You know, I think if there's anything that's come out of all this, and it certainly wasn't the reason we did it all, was we've had a good, healthy discussion. But there's one comment that I've made more than one time. You know who gets left out of this? Yeah, I'll get to, if I get to sell cold beer, it'll help my bottom line. But it's the consumers in Indiana. You know, and everybody seems to ignore them. All of you are consumers, you know, and depending on who spoke today in the opposition, sometimes they kind of say, well, you can't let those people make the decision. And I'm talking about other speakers. I'm not talking about members of the committee. But doggone it, you know, the people in this state do have a say in things. They just aren't getting their say in this particular item.
I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyway. You already have presumably on-premises cold beer available for the restaurants. Why is it important to have carryout on top of that?
Well, those 2 restaurant permits are the 2 that were just mentioned that are going to be taken away from us. So we won't have that. And it was only 2 locations that we had that. Why is it important to have cold beer? Because, as I mentioned many times, I'm a bricks and mortar building. I don't want to go out of business. I want what my consumers want, and my consumers want cold beer because they're using a free ATM in our particular instance. They're getting gasoline. If they're a smoker, they're getting smokes. If they're getting food from us. They want one spot to stop. They don't want to go someplace else. And in particular, I've heard women in smaller communities that go, you know, I feel safe there. I can take my kids in with me, and if I want to get a 6-pack of beer to take home, I can. I don't have to worry about not having a place for my children where they're safe. I feel safe in your store. They're well lit. And not everywhere, but some places they just don't feel comfortable buying an alcoholic beverage of the type that we're asking to sell. I also want to make perfectly clear, because it seems like it comes up every time, we do not want to sell spirits. I think somebody else in my industry said, we don't want to sell spirits. We're talking about beer. We already can sell wine cold, which kind of flies in the face of logic because it's got a much higher alcohol content than beer does.
So you'll be back next year?
Absolutely, if we don't get it done this year.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh yeah, that is right. You can get a cold bottle of wine at the liquor store or cider. That's why you see also, if you come to Indiana, they also have a lot of Red's Apple Ale cider everywhere because you can get that cold.
Mad Dog 2020.
Yep. Yep. Or which my personal favorite one, Bud Light, was having like those Rita drinks. Those when they have those out, I really love the cran one or the pomegranate ones. And you get your 44 ounce of ice, crack your big can, open it. Look, I've got cold beer, and I'm sitting at the freaking liquor store. Not the liquor store, but at the gas station. And that's another thing that I didn't even think about until right now. It's like, if I went to go get cold beer, like say I want a cold 30-pack of Ice House, where I'm going to spend my $12? I have to go to a liquor store. If I have Gunther with me, what am I going to do? Leave Gunther outside? Because I can't bring someone under 21 inside. I can in Boston, but I can't here, which is crap. So it's almost like, why have Gunther? Where am I going to get my cold beer from? I can't. I've either got to go to a brew house, which will allow me to bring a kid in, or buy it warm at the liquor store and bring it up. Yes, yeah, yeah. Because you gotta know where to buy. Okay, gotta know where to buy your Ice House to get it for $12 for $30. Okay, all right. I'm guessing that they don't want it, and I'm the only one that comes there and gets it because it usually has dust on it when I go pick it up. I already can't go into the cigar shop. I usually sit out front of the window, and somebody comes out and goes, "Here you go. I know what you want." I'm like, "Thank you." It's fun times. The only time I get along with Mustang drivers. Let's see here. Also, we had somebody. The chat moved on me when I wasn't looking. Toe Boaterus. Us sent in the article from what was it? From Reason. We were talking about that the brew house in New Albany, whatever it's pronounced. Anyways, the Bank Street Brew House in New Albany, Indiana, and you here on the screen as you can see, our famous hot dog sandwich, $10. Chef Campbell's,
what I was talking about.
Chef Campbell's soup, $10. Instant coffee, caffeinated, $5. Comes black and also black.
You can buy powdered milk with or without water.
Ooh, man. Get that no water powdered milk.
Craft soft drinks, different flavors, market pricing. They don't even put the price on.
Yeah.
They don't want to sell that stuff. They don't. If you want to buy that, they'll sell it. But
Yep, fine print of Indiana state law. In order to possess an Indiana retail alcohol beverage sales permit, Bank Street Brewhouse must comply with a 67-year-old state law that compels us to maintain a restaurant located on the premise. So yeah, old crappy.
go back to the hot dog. I wanted to read something that was said under there. It was really fun.
Oh, it's your own imager. I was hoping it did it. Microwave to perfection. Included both weenie and bun, sans condiments.
Was it served in a bowl for the soup of the day? Chef Campbell's soup of the day.
Whichever can is on top of the stack. It's just buy a stack of soup. It's awful. Awful. Might be the best.
Well, I think it's great comedy, and I think people appreciate it because they know what they're trying to do. Everybody knows what's going on, and they're just making fun of it, and that's going to endear people.
Right. Yeah, so the other thing is, like, everyone knows, and it really only, like, hurts little businesses. You know, we've got a tiny business in a tiny little town. That's what hurts. If you're outside that donut of 465, it hurts you mostly, you know?
And you say capitalism making beer cheaper than bottled water. That's because people are willing to pay stupid amount of money for water that they are already paying for coming out of their tap of their house.
Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about. That water's got radium in it, man.
Oh, the radium.
I couldn't remember. There's like one more topic couldn't remember. Like I wanted to talk about it. That's it. Yeah, that
was the one you approached me for because I think of the.
Well, they just show you how much radium's in the water, right? And it's like, there's radium in the water. It's like one of this looks under a blacklight. I see nothing.
There's a lot to say about that, but if you want to finish up on the beer thing, we can get into it. But the whole thing with Indiana and even all the blue laws in all the states is because people think that Sunday is a special day, right? So it's God's day. It's all religious based because we had a lot of religious people coming over here to start the country. So that's just kind of the way it goes. So they've got a rule here in Indiana where you can't sign a contract on Sunday, which means you can't buy a car because most people can't just go in and pay cash for a car. And even if you do, you still have to sign the contract stating that the deed is being transferred over to your name, right? So that requires contract signing, so no car sales on Sunday. So everybody wanting to buy a car has to do it on Saturday, or they have to take off work and do it during the week.
Correct. Yep. Can't buy a car.
It's all silly. So all of this, you can tell, all of it's all because of special interests. They're all going after Ricker because he's the one that pushed it. Because these guys didn't want to do this, but the public is so yelling for it that now they know they have to do it in order to keep their jobs.
Correct.
Right. Their phony baloney jobs, as one great comedy movie has stated. Right. So they go do this, but they're going to try and screw over the person who did it, who pushed the issue, in order to get their little final revenge out on him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like Abdul was talking about this. They said, like, these schemy liquor lobby will give out Sunday sales to hold on to cold beer because they know that's what people want. They want the cold beer. But they will let go of Sunday sales. But they will hold on to cold beer. You know, me personally, if I was a liquor store, if I was a grocery store, I would ask, like, excise, like, find out what is the exact temperature where they call refrigeration. Where does refrigeration start, right? And just be 2 degrees above that at all times.
Well, and the whole thing, I don't even see the big deal. If I go buy beer, I'm buying it by the case, I'm bringing it home and put it in my refrigerator. I don't really buy cold beer out on the road driving around, right? So,
yeah, who does that?
To me, who does it? Who really, There are people who go in and just want a beer right then and they want a cold one, so they'll do that. That's fine, but I don't think the majority of people really care too much about it.
Well, Ryan, do you know when Indiana stopped allowing you to have an open container of booze in the car?
It was sometime after I started driving.
You want to give us the date on that?
We used to have a can of cold beer open drinking while you were driving. It used to be a thing you could do in Indiana back in the 70s, and I think early 80s. I think it was in the mid 80s or sometime in the late 80s when that started. It used to be 18 too, and you could buy the beer as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, it wasn't 21 until the mid 80s when it was funny because I moved to Chicago to go to college, and they raised the age to 19, so I couldn't drink. But then Wisconsin was still 18. But then they had a grandfathered thing where, you know, they raised the price, they raised it to 19. But if you were born by July 1st, you were able to still get in under the grandfather clause. But I was born 12 days after July 1st, right? So I was born on the 12th. Therefore, I didn't fill into that. So somebody who was 2 weeks older than me was able to buy beer. I couldn't. It was really weird.
It's crazy. Well, that's also like, what is it here in Indiana that, you see, if you're born after 85, you don't need the training class for hunting to get a hunting permit here in Indiana now. If you're born in 85, like I am, right? If you're born the year after it, you need a training class to hunt in Indiana. If you perform for that, apparently I was just born with hunting training. I don't need training. I just could get my permit and go hunt. It's awesome.
Back in the old days, we had to hunt for our food. We couldn't just go to the grocery store and buy it, right? So we had that knowledge.
Heck yeah! When I remember hunting Hot Pockets in the 90s. Okay, but
that's a dangerous animal to hunt. Let me tell you.
It sure is. You know, you gotta give out his call, Mom, Mama. That's usually what summons the Hot Pockets.
It's Hot Pockets.
But yeah, so here in Indiana, you could drive around in your car with an open container from the booze that the 18-year-old just bought for you and jump in your car, but you could not buy it on Sunday and call from a grocery store.
Yep.
I always find that nuts. It's crazy.
It was the weirdest thing. We always had to drive to Terre Haute to get beer on Sundays. I was dating someone who was going to ISU, and we'd go to Terre Haute, and you just drive across the state line to the gas stations that all had a bunch of alcohol, and they knew what they were doing. They were selling it to all the college kids.
Yep. Now the whole liquor, the alcohol limit, that is a story. Well, here in the chat they asked for talking about it. That is a story for a different day. I am upset about that. 0.08 is incredibly too low. That is way too low.
No, I remember it used to be like 1.2, then they dropped it to 1. Now they're like, we need a 0.8, and now they're trying to drop it down lower. And it's like, really, guys?
Right.
I mean, come on. Yeah. It should be, are you impaired to drive? Some people are impaired at 0.6. Some people are not impaired at 0.15.
Correct.
It's just the way bodies are different. So they can't do that. They have to go to the lowest common denominator, which is the way government works. Everything's lowest common denominator. So they have to go down to that point. And it's just a way for them to basically say, it's like, if you don't want the beer to be alcohol, just make the law that there can't be alcohol. Which begs the question, why did we need a constitutional amendment to outlaw the sale of alcohol, but we don't need a constitutional amendment to outlaw the sale of other things? Seems a little odd to me, but hey, maybe I don't know what's going on. It's just,
well, it's okay if you want to go after the Mexican and the blacks, it's okay. You don't need an amendment for that. But whites, you're gonna need an amendment. So,
and there's a lot of caveats too. About, I mean, if you want to just take 5 seconds, but
okay,
it's not illegal in the United States to smoke marijuana. The Supreme Court has already stated that if you're a person who is addicted or a person who does just the act of smoking it, you cannot go to jail for. You go to jail for possession of marijuana or the selling of marijuana. It's like it was in Prohibition. It was never illegal to drink it. It was always illegal to have it or sell it.
Yeah. That's also like a lot of people get busted. Like they really get busted for marijuana when they do something when they try to get rid of it at the time. Toss it, try to swallow it. Yeah. They get busted for tampering of evidence.
Yep, because you possessed it, and now you're trying to get rid of the fact that you possessed it. So that's a breaking of the law.
Yep, that's another law that just keeps stacking on you until they take you out. All right. Anything else on alcohol? We'll get on that 0.0 thing and the BAC stuff later on. Different time.
I just say that I think everybody knows this is all stupid, and other states have moved past it. Indiana is one of the few states that, even though it's listed as one of the most liberty-friendly states in the country, we still have these weird silly laws that are holdovers and only still in existence for special interests. We're going to eventually have to get rid of these. Why people can't just take the bullet and accept the fact that it's going to be that way and do it is weird to me. Why they fight so hard for it. But it's like they think, well, eventually everything will turn back and it'll be okay if we just hold out long enough, I think is what they're thinking. But they don't understand that they're putting themselves into a very hypocritical position on a lot of issues when they do this.
Oh, yeah.
So, but it's just the way they do. That's their special interest. That's what they have to fight for in order to keep getting reelected. We have to just start targeting and focusing on those people who are the holdouts and either tell them that you're not going to get voted for if they don't change, or vote them out.
Right. Yeah, that's the only thing.
And change it.
Yeah, which will suck because you're trying to you'll basically making the election like a one issue.
Right, one thing.
Yeah,
and that's horrible. We shouldn't have to be that way.
Yeah,
it's like gambling. I mean, how hard was it to get gambling in Indiana?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And I still can't play poker online. I used to be able to play poker online. I was a semi-pro player. I used to make money doing it. But now I can't because when Obama had Black Friday, it stopped everything because he, in my opinion, I don't know where he got the power to take over someone's DNS servers that exist outside the country.
Right.
That seems a little odd to me that he thinks he has that power, but he did it. They took over those other countries' DNS servers and hijacked them, which I thought was really strange. But now it's legal, and they're doing it through bank transfers and stuff like that. And it's so frustrating because it's like I'm not hurting anybody. I'm sitting in my house, affecting nobody but me. I'm making a little bit of side money, having fun, doing something I'm good at. I don't see the problem here. I shouldn't have to move to Vegas in order to play poker. It seems silly to me. But you can play on the lottery. You can go in and spend your weekly paycheck or allowance that you get from the government or whatever and buy lottery tickets because that's a good thing apparently. I just don't. It's all so annoyingly backwards.
I think Reinhold triggered himself on that one.
I did. I could be making extra money. It really frustrates me when they start hitting my livelihood at a time like that.
All right, Sitsi, I also want to thank for the follow for Reich WS and Reich WA. Thanks for the follow of the channel. That happened to the Reinhold triggering. Let's see Sorry. That's okay. If you want to go back, we can come back and talk to. We can do one day if we talk gambling because I get upset too, especially when Coinbase helps out the federal government for it because if they find out if your Bitcoin account or anything that they can trace you down to this has been used for gambling, boom, you get blocked from Coinbase. But
wait a second. I thought cryptocurrency, the biggest thing about cryptocurrency was the anonymity of it. How can they trace you?
No, we're not doing this.
No, come on.
It's anonymous until you make your presence known, and it's more of you. They don't know who you are, but they know you used this for this, and you went here. But if you use your name there, they instantly know who you are now. But the main thing is, because it's not. That's why I don't. Don't do that. Don't double follow. Don't make sock accounts and follow the account. Don't do that. Lost my train of thought. Where I was going with that. That's the other thing. There's like some of the other cool cryptocurrencies out there that actually are truly anonymous. They built an anonymity into the code. They have these zero knowledge proofs, which is really really beautiful. What is it? I'm gonna get these confused. Zcash and Monero. Oh crap! I can't remember. There are some. Anyways, those are the ones I can think by the top of my head. They have zero knowledge proof in them, which is really, really cool. Moving on to our next topic, we're going to move to a real American hero, Chelsea Manning. Taxation is a sharing responsibility, and only wealthy believe that taxation is theft, and they don't pay taxes. We should make them pay. Other than the drastic use of emojis. What else do you hate about this whole sentiment other than because she's running for office now?
Bradley's running for office, really?
It's Chelsea here. Okay, her name's Chelsea. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So you're only doing that.
So here, I like Chelsea Manning for one reason, but that doesn't mean that they're right on everything.
Exactly. You know? Yes. Yeah. It's just like you can read H.P. Lovecraft. You can read Mark Twain and take not Mark Twain, H.P. Lovecraft and take the racism out of his book and still enjoy his art. You can still look at Chelsea Manning and look at the video that she leaked and still hate every other thing that she has done. But yeah, so Chelsea Manning files for the run for U.S. Senate bid in Maryland. If I lived in Maryland, she would not have my vote. She has my support because she stopped the U.S. government. But since she's running as a Dem and believes taxation is not theft, she does not have my support.
She didn't stop the U.S. government. She highlighted to everybody else what the U.S. government was doing. They're still doing it.
Oh yeah, they're still doing it. Probably did it yesterday, twice.
That was the one thing I was thinking about bringing up later if we have time. But yeah, there's the whole vote for that going on, but for the FISA thing. But the frustrating thing here is, so look, she wants to run. Let her run. I don't care. Let her run. If the people want what she's selling, that's the power of government or representative of government. Go for it. But she's wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So Chelsea Manning will run for the U.S. Senate in Maryland. The transgendered former Army intelligence analyst was convicted of leaking classified documents, filed her statement of candidacy with the Federal Election Commission on Thursday. She's running as a Democrat and will likely challenge two-term Senator Democrat Ben Cardin. He has served 2 terms and is overwhelming favorite to win. The 30-year-old Manning listed at a North Bethesda address in her FEC filing. She is running as a Democrat. Manning was convicted of leaking classified information and spent more than 6 years behind bars, known as, I'm not going to say the dead name, of the time of her 2010 arrest. Manning came out as a transgender after being sentenced because President Obama granted clemency to Manning before leaving office.
Quick question: why did Chelsea Manning get clemency, but they're still going after Edward Snowden? Because at least Edward Snowden at least tried to, bring his information up to whistleblowers, but she didn't.
Let's see here. I think Chelsea got it because, one, in the climate it was also a good punt to look good at the end. Okay.
And what's the real reason?
There was a nice punt. Okay, nice punt, looked good. I pardoned a trans person. Boom. All right.
There you go.
Yep, that's, like I said, it's a punt. It's a big punt. It was odd.
So Edward should just come out and he'd be back home again.
Maybe that's Ross Ulbricht's next move.
Might be.
That's the other thing is, like, honestly, I would probably, if someone just if any candidate ran on the idea for president of pardoning Ross Ulbricht, they've gotten my vote. I don't care if they're the biggest socialist in the world. I doubt they'll get anything at run, but if they pardon Ross, they've got my freaking vote. I'm sorry. What's happened to Ross is awful, it's terrible, and I want him out. But yeah, which is also like it's awful is that she believes in all this stuff and likes the big data government, but this was big data government that killed those people on the video that you released and held you captive. It's almost like it's Stockholm syndrome run amok.
Where did she release her video?
To WikiLeaks.
To WikiLeaks, but I thought WikiLeaks was a Russian front. And she's a Democrat, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm having trouble here with fitting all of these into the narratives that are going on. It seems odd to me.
2018 is not talking to 2012. Is that
I might be a simple man. I don't know. I'm missing something.
Yeah. So WikiLeaks, the Russian propaganda arm. Yeah, so she released it there, which, she got caught up because OPSEC went poor somewhere and the whole thing. And that's why it was so important for, what is that guy that ran LavaBit? Anyways, the guy...
I know who you're talking... Kim.com?
No, it wasn't Kim.com that did LavaBit. That'd be too awesome for Kim.com to also do LavaBit too, but... what is this? Anyways... I'm sure someone looking it up and going like, "You guys are all wrong. It's this guy." But anyways, Edward Snowden used an alphabet email address, and it was the secure email address came out at the same time Gmail came out. And what
Ladar Levinson is his name.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Ladar Levinson. All right. So, and it was a pretty cool thing. It was like and it was there and it was encrypted on the server, so you can send private communication with it. And the FBI wanted that server. They wanted to track Edward Snowden through it. Which he didn't know they wanted Edward Snowden. They just said they wanted your private key. They wanted the server. There's someone there they want. So he didn't know who he was protecting. He just know there's a needle in his haystack, and they were coming with fire. So he did every little legal game to keep them at bay. So they asked for his private key, right? So they printed it out. He printed it out on on many sheets of paper and handed him the key. So they had to go back and then write the order again and say they want it digitally. And but while he's playing these shadow games like that, he took the time to take LavaBit and take it down. That business that he did all those years starting it up, he destroyed in overnight. He just went there and just started deleting all the servers and did everything. Yep. And Rick's jail time, he didn't know who he was saving, but he figured it out. It had to be Edward Snowden because came out and told him it wasn't for that. They probably who else makes you wonder. And then from that story there, it lets you know maybe Edward Snowden really wasn't working alone. Maybe he did have some more people that wanted to help, but they wasn't ready to move. So you just don't know though. Yes, Ross. You got an obnoxious interest. And if Edward Snowden got caught in the United States, he would also get a kangaroo court and have a. There's no current laws. Obama does prosecute tons of whistleblowers. I hate this whole aspect when people say Obama had 8 years. Nothing bad happened. I'm like, you haven't been paying freaking attention.
No, they're not paying attention to the right things. They're just like, he's great, and they don't even look. They don't even see the problems. Right, so that's the issue there. And what the crowning is talking about is for Ross. It's like being held accountable for being an accomplice. Was that Ross you were talking about, or was that he was talking about, or was that the LavaBit guy?
I think it's
so the reason why Ross should not be held accountable is because there are protections in the law right now for website providers, things like that they are not responsible for things that happen on that site unless they're managing it, if they're participating in the management of that. So let's say Facebook, somebody's using Facebook for a drug deal. Is the Facebook owner going to go to jail for that?
Right.
That's the problem. You can't monitor every aspect of what's going on those sites as a provider of those sites. So they have to have some protection against what your site is being used for. If you know about it and you allow it or tacitly allow it to go on, that's one thing. But if you are just providing a service that people are then using for their own purposes, it's like the Twitter people aren't responsible for the fact that ISIS was using Twitter to communicate back and forth.
Right.
How could they be held responsible for that?
Yeah. Countless drug deals have gone on Facebook. Countless. Okay? They've probably used, code words and ciphers on it to trade hey, do you got the pizzas? I have 37 hot dogs.
Yeah, pizza gate. So but they didn't go after the pager company for the pagers that people are using for drug deals, right? Or the texting services and Verizon and those people for that. I mean, it's
right.
At some point, you have to be able to prove that they were knowledgeable or in on what was going on that site.
Right. And that's it, yeah. Because Ross's hands never touched drugs. He was demonized out in the media for the murder for hire case, which was never proven. So much crap. I think you know what? One of these weeks.
Well, look at all the murder stuff that's happened on Facebook with Facebook killers and things like that. They're not responsible for that stuff.
Yeah, correct.
Were they going after Zuckerberg for that stuff? Right? They're not, because he's their bitch, right? But it kind
of. All right. I think whoever does Chelsea's eyebrows should be fired. Okay. They're shaped awful.
How
okay.
Your body shaming. Stop the body shaming.
I'm just saying that She needs to.
I do love. Oh, I love Glenn Greenwald. Thank you for bringing him into this because he is so perfect for me because what he's done is he's kind of taken a path that I took where I used to be a Democrat long time ago, and I just saw the stupidity the Democratic Party was going through, and I'm just like, I couldn't resolve it all around my, I could say, okay, there's some things here, some things there, right? But it got to the point where this is the underlying Democratic Party, and this was back in '92, I think it was, when I just said I'm done, I'm walking out, because I was working for trying to get a guy elected, and I was just like, I don't believe in anything he's saying right now at all, and I realized that I just wasn't doing it. So what he's done is he used to be a darling of the left, because he was going after Bush for all the stuff that Bush was doing wrong, rightfully so, and hitting him hard, and everybody loved him. And same with WikiLeaks. They all loved WikiLeaks on the left because they were going after Bush, because when Bush was in office.
Correct.
So they're the darlings of the left. And then suddenly when the left gets into power and these people start saying, hey, look, you're doing similar things and you're wrong, and your hypocrisy is so blatant that we're calling you out on it, suddenly they're Russian apologists, right? So they'll say the same thing about Glenn Greenwald now, that he's a Russian apologist because he doesn't buy into the Russian hacking and all that stuff. He's like, hey, wait a minute, there's some things here, there's some questions you're not answering, you're not giving us the proof, you're not giving us the information we need to make this, for us to believe this, what you're saying. So why are you just buying into whatever the CIA says? You weren't doing that 10 years ago.
Yep.
And now they all hate him.
Yep.
So he's on a rampage now where he's just pointing out all the hypocrisy that he's seeing, and it's just so delicious because he's so good at it.
I know. It's like, so good. Keep going. Keep roasting him. Yep. Oh, yeah. And the simple fact that you weren't always a libertarian, that means you failed the purity test. I'm about to kick you out of the Discord.
Not pure. If you're not born a libertarian, you're not a true libertarian. If you came from somewhere other than, sorry, we can't allow you to be part of the party, apparently.
Oh, snaps. We got Jackie Zombie that just gave us the follow. Thanks, Jackie, for the follow. Yeah, if you're not, that's not pure. You're not pure enough. We'll have to kick you out. You're not pure.
Well, and plus I didn't come from the right either, right? I did vote. I didn't vote for Reagan the first time because I was a little too young, but the second time I might have voted for Reagan. But in '92 and on, I've been libertarian voting ever since, so.
Okay. We may have to let you stay. We'll let you stay. All right. So, centrist Democrats, which is also cool. Like, I love this article here because, Reinhold's been making me watch more of The Intercept. I've been trying to look at it more often. Thanks to Reinhold, and it is really delicious, especially this article here because it was like I was looking up Chelsea Manning stuff, and the first place I saw anything really report on it that I really liked was The Intercept, because it's like centrist Democrats go after Chelsea Manning, because if they get either A, she's got to play ball, 2, she's so out there, and if she gets unleashed, no one can really touch her. And to me, I can also understand why she's running. Personally honest, it will probably be the least scrutinized by the U.S. government she'll ever have. Granted, the press will be in her face all the time, but she does probably have to worry about a government wiretap while she's doing it, because all her communications are probably tapped, and she's probably surveilled 24/7 by the U.S. government, except right now when she filed to run as a candidate.
Well, they're still doing it because they finally came out and admitted, or it was finally shown that they were spying on Trump during the election. No, you don't hear it on CNN, but it has been reported that they did. They did.
We kind of. Well, to be fair,
we kind of did that.
To be fair, they spied on everybody. Okay, to be fair. All right. Over the weekend, Chelsea Manning announced her candidacy for the U.S. Senate by posting a video outlining the broad themes for her campaign. Manning, a whistleblower, served 7 years in a U.S. military brig for exposing systematic U.S. war crimes, was held under prison conditions so brutal the United Nations formally denounced them as inhumane. That is correct. She was held in mostly, like a solitary confinement. She wasn't allowed to transition. She wasn't allowed to get therapy for that the entire time. She wasn't allowed to have anything. Like, one time she had a copy of, was it Vogue magazine that Jenner was in? Caitlyn was it? Caitlyn Jenner was in. Well, anyways, they also they threw her in the hole again because someone smuggled in a magazine of Caitlyn Jenner, and they were like, nope, can't have that. Write her up again. Back in the hole. Back in the hole. And terrible conditions that she was being held under. It was awful. Whilst her whistleblowing made her a hero around the world, Manning has now become an icon of the LGBT equality, transgender rights with an act of profound bravery that at least matches, if not surpasses, her whistleblowing. She announced her transition and demanded the dignity and treatment to which she was entitled while she was imprisoned in the middle of a sprawling U.S. military base in a brig at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Okay? So, which you would think the left would be the Democrats would be all about it because they were so disappointed in their other transgender icon, Caitlyn. So they're like, this is one of ours. We finally have got one. This is the one we're going to push up. We're going to put it in everything. But since her release from prison, she's become a visible and outspoken advocate for the rights of trans people. She has used her position as a Guardian columnist to stake out a wide range of positions, including drafting a proposed law to provide protection for whistleblowers. She certainly has more political experience and activism than many other Senate candidates previously supported by the Democratic establishment. Al Franken comes to mind as one example. If elected, Manning would become the first transgender woman ever and the youngest woman ever to serve in the U.S. Senate. So, awesome things here. The whole whistleblower protection, she's terrible. She probably won't agree with her if anything on any of her economic stuff. But if she can get whistleblower protection, awesome. I'll support her on that thing there. We agree there. Cool. Manning's opponents in the Democratic Party primary is one of the most standard, banal, typical, privileged, and mediocre politician in the U.S. Congress, Benjamin Cardin, a 74-year-old white straight male who was seeking his third 6-year Senate term. Oh, wow, his third 6-year Senate term. So in the other article, they're just like, well, it's his third term, but they don't tell you it's a 6-year Senate term, so...
Yeah, people forget the Senate's 6-year terms.
Yeah, you don't think of that. Like, it's 2 years. They served 3 times. That's 6 years, man. What are you doing? No, 6 years. Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for bringing that back up. I forgot about that for a second. I was like, man. Anyways, Cardin's decades-long... Oh, man. Man, look at that. Is that a real word? Decades-long? Anyways, decades-long career as a politician from the start has been steeped in an unearned privilege. He first won elective office back in 1966, which his uncle Maurice Cardin gave up his seat in order to bequeath it to his nephew Benjamin. With this dynastic privilege at his base, he has spent the last 50 years climbing the political ladder in Maryland. Wow. Cardin has remarkably few achievements from being in Congress for so many years. One of his few distinctions is that he has become one of the Senate's most reliable and loyal supporter of the AIPAC agenda and the Israeli government, if not the single most loyal. In 2015, he joined the Lindsey Graham in kicking off the annual AIPAC conference, causing neocon columnist Jennifer Rubin to gush about how identical they sounded. Oh no. That's not good. It's not good. So yeah,
he's a real supporter on the Democrat side. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
He's in trouble.
I wonder if luckily we don't listen. Luckily, District 7 doesn't have a Senate seat that was sent over to somebody else. They just got it from someone. Bitter District 7 person. I lived under Julia Carson, and now I live under Andre Carson. Just bitter District 7er. I'm sorry.
I met Julia before she passed. So my wife's stepfather was a big person in that community, so she was at his funeral.
She is a very nice. I've met her in person too. Yeah, she was very. Of course, I was very young at the time. I've seen her at church, stuff like that. She was a very, very nice woman.
She
disagree with her
she's nice, but she's also
disagree with her politically.
Yeah,
disagree with her politically, and I disagree with Andre politically too. And I've met him.
Well, and he got it off the name. He's we all know that.
Yeah. Yes, there's certain words that you can't say in the chat, like Bittner. Yep, I blocked that one. That one's blocked. There's certain other words too. Just trigger words.
I love how when people think libertarianism means you can say and do anything you want. It's like, not on somebody else's private property.
Yes, my private property.
Somebody else's private property. He can say what he wants to.
Exactly.
Do what he wants.
Exactly. But Cardin's crowning achievement came last year when he kicked the thing. Sorry. Crowning achievement came last year when he authored a bill that would have made it a felony to support a boycott of Israel. Whoa. Now that's going to come back and bite him in the butt. A bill that was.
How can you make your opinion or okay?
Oh man, she's going to hang him on that alone.
Well, I don't think there's any chance. To be honest with you, I don't think there's any chance she's going to oust him in the primaries. It's just not going to happen because primaries are very kind of decided upon by the party, right? So the party
Correct.
Wants him in there because he's been doing good things for them. You know, they accept the fact that he's not 100% on board with everything progressive-wise, but, you know, he's got some power, so they're not going to take a chance on having that switch out.
Yeah, I think they may use her to either get him back in line or give her some goodies to support him and back down.
Well, you have to kind of grow yourself and get support in a party eventually, and this is kind of one way to do that is to show you're interested in running, do a good campaign, show that the campaign was good even though you lost, and that's how you get support later when something else comes up that she might want to run for.
Yeah, but this is a big swing.
And this may make it a deal too.
Yeah.
She could get in there and do this, and they could say, "We really want you to kind of step away from this. How about we support you for Congress seat next term, and then we'll get you in that way." And she'll go, "Okay," and then back off, and then just drop out of the race and give it all to him, and then that's how she'll get her power out of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or like, well, he's probably got one more 6-year term. Do you want that Senate seat after that? And we'll let you do this.
Yeah, and by doing this, she establishes herself as the next probable candidate if he does decide that at 80 he's done.
Yep. And that's, of course, what we like to think. We like to think there's all these things going on in there, but they're probably going to, which would be awesome.
Well, no, that's not to discount that there is a thing going on in the Democratic Party that people are not talking a lot about, that there are a lot of young people in the party who are tired of the old people screwing it up.
Yeah.
So the young guys are trying to, the Bernie bros and that sort of thing, they're trying to say, no, we need to change the party. We need to be more progressive. We need to be more of this, more of that. And they're trying to push the old people to step aside so that they can reinvigorate it and make it something, because obviously the current people are failing, right? So that's a fight that is going on in the Democratic Party. I just don't think that they're ready to win it in this case at this point.
Right, yeah. And the Justice Democrats are having way too much infighting right now. So.
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. That's why
I love infighting in every party except my own.
Yes. I would like libertarian infighting if it was more beneficial. Constructive and beneficial. Yeah. Not just, I'm just going to tear you down and make you a terrible person. Why? I can't make myself better. I'm going to make you just look worse.
In the arguing over the small things, it's just like that's really not something we should even be arguing about, things like that. That's what gets me, is that it's arguing about big stuff, not, stupid little things.
Stupid things like putting, Anyway, moving on. Anyways.
Not getting into that.
Yeah, I'm not getting into that either. I told Chris I wouldn't. Despite all this, or perhaps because of it, establishment Democrats wasted no time in mocking and denouncing Manning's bid to become the first ever trans woman in the Senate. Instead, quickly lining up in support behind the straight white male who has wielded power for decades to demean Manning. Many of these establishment Democrats invoked the primary tactic they now reflexively used against anyone they view as a political adversary. They depicted her as a tool of the Kremlin, whose candidacy is really just a disguised plot engineered by Moscow. You called it, Reinhold. You called it. Did you read this article?
Yep.
You called it. You called it.
I did not read the article, but it's just what the Democrats do now. It's what their fallback is. It's funny because 6 years ago they were saying how great Russia was, and now they're the enemy because of there's a certain group that got in that are Ukrainian and support that, and they're fighting against that. It's all silly. But they've taken over the power structure of the Democratic Party to the point now they can't even think straight about the whole relationship with Russia, and they're using it as a tool because they think it works.
Right.
And it can work occasionally, but when you start throwing it out every time somebody does something, people turn off to it, and they're going to find that it's not going to work. It's not going to help them in 2018, even though they still think it's going to. Mm-hmm. It's not going to help them in 2018 in that regard. They're going to have to go somewhere else for that.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Leading the way in the spreading this obviously deranged but acceptable in DC conspiracy theory was Nuria Tandon, president of the largest Democratic Party think tank in Washington last night. Tandon spread a viral tweet that strongly implied, without even pretending to have a shred of evidence, that the Kremlin had engineered Manning's candidacy as punishment for Cardin's hard-line position on Russia. Oh, he's the victim. Senator Cardin authored and released a 200-page masterpiece on Russian influence in Western elections. Suddenly, he has a primary from Kremlin stooge Assange, WikiLeaks primary source Chelsea Manning. The Kremlin plays the extreme left to swing elections. Remember that. Wow. So I'm guessing the Kremlin also got to Obama, because that's how she got out, right? Right, that's
yeah. I mean, that's why Obama didn't go after him so hard at the end of his term, right?
Because he was also being once he knew the Kremlin was in power, okay, with Trump, he had to play ball, okay. Yep, that makes sense, right?
Oh, when they thought he was in power with Trump,
yeah,
they thought that was that's not proven, and they're not going to be able to prove it because it didn't happen, but. And I'm not a Trump fan at all, but that this is no proof, guys. I'm sorry. I know you want it to be, but it's not. Yeah. It's not there.
I'm getting quoted out here in the chat room. Yeah, and there's other conspiracy theories about Manning going on in the Discord, which we want to talk about because it's too valid, and I don't like them. They make me feel uncomfortable. So, anyways, this one here, the conspiracy theory mocks itself. The idea that Vladimir Putin sat in the Kremlin steaming over Cardin's report on Russia and thus developed a dastardly plot to rid himself over his daunting Maryland nemesis. I know how to get rid of Cardin. I'll have a trans woman who was convicted of a felony leaking run against him. It's too inane to merit any additional ridicule, but this is the climate in Washington. No conspiracy theory is too moronic, too demented, too self-evidently laughable to disqualify its advocates from being taken seriously, as long as it involves accusation that someone is a covert tool of the Kremlin. That's why the president of the leading Democratic think tank feels free to spread this slanderous trash. It's a side note. Tandon's ongoing attempt to smear all of her critics and agents of foreign power is particularly ironic, given that the think tank she runs, the Center for American Progress, conceals the identity of many of its largest donors, but admits that one of its larger contributors is one of the world's most repressive regimes. If there any entity worthy of the type of disloyalty innuendo that Tandon loves to spread, it's the one she runs. Oh no!
Well, isn't the Center of American Progress? Isn't that a big Soros funded place?
Yeah, I believe so. Oh, yeah. Anonymous.
Soros has never done anything bad ever.
Oh wow, yeah. 500,000 to 9999999 anonymous embassy of the United Arab Emirates. That sounds like a great place. Let's see. So yeah, okay, we got that there, but. Anyways, why have so many establishment Democrats so quickly decided to back a white, straight male politician steeped in privilege while devoting themselves to opposing a candidate who would make history by becoming the first trans woman ever elected to the U.S. Senate in the process of inspiring trans youth around the world and helping to erode the stigma that has made them so vulnerable to discrimination and violence? They've decided to do this presumably because they find Cardin's centrist ideology and politics more appealing than Manning's, more radical politics, and believe that this is that this trumps what could have been the historic value of Manning's candidacy. Laying it on thick, isn't he? They've apparently decided to prioritize their own centrist ideology over the important gender, sexual orientation, and trans equality progress that Manning's victory would ensure. One can certainly make an argument that the license they granted themselves here to prioritize ideology and politics over identity is a reasonable one, but one wonders whether they intend to maintain a monopoly on this license or extend it to others. Ooh, there's been an update. Oh, look at that.
The update's interesting. I've been reading that. Yeah, read the update.
Have you been? You can't read ahead, Reinhold.
No, but it's on the screen. I read ahead in front of you.
You must have been terrible in school. Okay, all right. Reading ahead, doing the homework, probably. Dems got me believing Putin is Boris from Rocky and Bullwinkle. That's Wicked Kender in the live chat. Yeah, yes, going against Moose and Squirrel. Establishment Democrats have spent all day attacking this article with one claim, that it cites only one example of Democrat who depicted Manning's candidacy as a Kremlin plot, Cap President Neera Tanden, and therefore it's baseless to say that that there's a smear campaign against Manning from centrist Democrats. It's worth making a few points about this claim. 1. The idea that Tanden is just some random person I picked off Twitter whose views are irrelevant to the Democratic Party politics, when she is in fact the president of the largest, most influential Democratic Party think tank in Washington, which why I cited her, is really quite laughable. The objection is completely ancillary to the actual point of the article, which is the extreme, inconsistent, self-serving way the centrist Democrats use identity politics. They give themselves license to support old, straight white men, force habit, at the expense of pioneering minority candidates. When doing so advances the ideological agenda, whereas leftists who do so are vilified for doing the same thing. See the rhetoric from Hillary Clinton supporters and the 2016 Democratic Party primary about the misogynistic, malignant motives of Bernie Sanders supporters for how that works. Yep, Bernie Bros got just trashed on. The fact that I cited only Tanden does not mean that she was the only one spreading this inane Kremlin conspiracy theory about Manning's candidacy. The claim was all over Twitter. It was retweeted thousands of times. I obviously couldn't list all of the instances in a single article, so I chose the most important one. But for those who need to see more, here are several, beginning with this former official from the Clinton campaign. Oh man, it get good. Zach Patekinis, Chelsea Manning could have leaked the info anywhere. She went into the arms of Russian intelligence bent on supplanting liberal democracy worldwide with a right-wing authoritarianism. Sorry, I'm laughing. Oh, man. And she, an all unapologetic Russian asset, writing and unwriting, witting and unwitting, don't belong in the Senate. Then we have this one from U.S. media's favorite Russian-obsessed expert, Molly McHugh. A little too convenient that Chelsea Manning will primary Senator Cardin, one of the most active senators on foreign policy and leader in making policy legislation to respond to Russian aggression for MD Senate. Guess that's what Dem Tea Party is going to look like. Snowden Party? Wow, they went after Snowden too. I know there are a lot of people who still think of Manning as a whistleblower, but the agent of a foreign power coerced this individual, leveraging their emotional distress into breaking their oath to this country and disclosing classified secrets, period. Ouch. Dang.
And they're saying that the Russian agent, of course, is WikiLeaks.
Yeah, WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is Russian.
They coerced Chelsea into doing this.
If Julian Assange was a Russian agent, he wouldn't be stuck in some crappy consulate
in Argentina.
He wouldn't be. He'd be somewhere on a beach, or maybe he does. Maybe he is. Maybe he's got the Kremlin's got us so wrapped around his finger that he somehow keeps his pale complexion, even though he's probably travels the world. Okay, got us so fooled. Let's see, Josh Manning, Senator Cardin authored and released a 200-page masterpiece on Russian influence in Western elections. Suddenly he has a primary from Kremlin stooge, Assange WikiLeaks primary source, Chelsea Manning. The Kremlin plays the extreme left to swing elections. Remember that. Liz Wall, Chelsea Manning has for years been a celebrated hero in Russian media. Putin would love to see her win a U.S. Senate seat. Wow, is that true? Someone DuckDuckGo that for us. That's Chelsea Manning, but a hero in Russian media for years.
Well, no, you got to understand, Russia's always happy when the United States is pointed out as doing something wrong. I mean, that's just kind of what their media does, right? So it's not that she's held. There's no evidence, of course, that she's paid for by Russia to do it, or she's for Russia because she pointed out something that the United States was doing wrong against its own citizens. You know, but yeah, you got to understand, Russia is being attacked by the United States for years now, financially, in horrible ways. And if any country was doing to the United States, we would explode, go to war with them on it.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's not like there's not a reason for Russia to animosity towards the United States right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I could literally spend the rest of the evening posting examples from large accounts that, within 24 hours of Manny's announcement for candidacy, tried to tie her and her campaign to the Kremlin. Even if it had just been the head of the Center for American Progress doing it, that would have justified this article. But clearly, it was far more widespread and coordinated than that. And just to underscore the point again, this issue is totally ancillary to the primary point of the article, which is how centrist Democrats exploit identity politics when it suits them, but then feel free to keep old, white, straight men in power at the expense of marginalized minority candidates such as Manning. Boom! Boom! Drops pen. So, you know.
Glenn is the man. That's all I'm saying, is that should be your first read of the day, is anything Glenn Greenwald has written.
Just go see what he's read. You know. Yeah.
And it's not just because we like what he's saying. It's because he's thorough. Mm-hmm. He's a good journalist, which you find so rare these days to actually find a good journalist. Where if they get a source that says, hey, this is what somebody said, he will go research it and make sure that it's accurate and not just write a book that is just somebody's rambling gossip, right?
Right.
Or just say, oh, yeah, we heard it from the CIA agent that this is happening. The CIA agents paid to lie. So you might want to check their facts before you post those, maybe, as a journalist with any integrity, which just doesn't seem very many of them have these days.
Exactly. That's one. Oh, there's that. Oh man, I want to read up on the more that CIA, the terrorism article. Not terrorism. The Chinese leaker, mole, not leaker. The mole, the Chinese mole that was getting those agents. Oh man, that. Because I have to read this article again. I'm going to look to more source, because it really does sound like how the CIA just didn't give two craps and just started to work on U.S. soil, even though they totally can. They can do all this different stuff. They can do what they want, clearly. So we just... Well,
technically, the CIA is not allowed to do anything on U.S. soil, period.
Yeah. They can do what they want.
Technically.
They can do what they want.
But since everything they do is secret, how are you going to know and how are you going to stop them? And where's that real oversight coming? Because there's always oversighting this stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, the article I posted the other day that we talked about in Discord, that Glenn Greenwald wrote about the hypocrisy of the left who are doing the resistance movement against Trump, authoritarian, but they're still fighting to give him the right to do unwarranted searches. It's like, if you think he's authoritarian and you don't want him to have that power, then why are you voting to give him that power? Either you, A, don't think he is, and you're just doing this for political reasons, or B, you want to make sure that you don't care about the rights of the United States of citizens, and you want the person next in power to still have that power, right?
Yep.
So either way, you're wrong.
All right. So, any final thoughts on the whole Manning thing?
Like I said, I think that her running is great. I wouldn't vote for her, but more power to her to do what she wants to do. But this whole thing about her, the way they're attacking her, I'm telling you, this is a power struggle in the Democratic Party that is going to tear it pretty hard. It's not going to destroy the Democratic Party. Unfortunately, we'd all love to see that. Just like we'd all love to see that happen in the Republican Party. It's not going to happen. They're going to keep going, but it's just going to make them seen as even worse than they are now. And they're going to keep losing membership, just like they've been doing for the past 20 years. The Democrats and Republicans have both been losing membership for the past 20 years. And everybody talks about how low of an approval rating that Trump has. Congress has a worse approval rating. The media has a worse approval rating.
4 city zip codes where
everybody's just getting tired of the bullshit. So this is all going to be part of what's coming up in the next election cycle. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I know that you love science, especially hard-hitting science, Reinhold. I know you love it.
Love it. Love me some science.
Love the science. All right, you ready? Ready for my science?
Let me go get a drink of water first.
Okay. All right. Go get your water.
I'm just
go to the tap. You go get tap water.
Can get my tap water. Well, luckily I have a well, so it's a little different.
Oh, that's even worse, man. They got wells on here too. Private. It's a private-owned well. So that means the city doesn't check it, so they don't even know what's in it.
No, but look right there. You see where Indiana's sticking out in the middle of that map?
Circle right here. Yep.
I'm not in that big circle in the middle, by the way.
Oh, crap. Would you think you're outside of that circle? Anyways.
You're outside.
Make this circle bigger. I don't know, man. Maybe hopefully this radioactive water makes sense for mass holes. Anyways, from the great website of I Effing Love Science, 170 million Americans are drinking radioactive water. Fear. I gotta keep remembering my cam's up here. I'm so used to being down here, looking up at me. Forget it's here. Chris got meddled in my affairs, so I finally asked for a piece of equipment, and I asked for the 1080p HD camera. I never wanted it, but he put his finger into my project and demanded things, and I was like, all right, I'm demanding equipment, finally.
He's got to be at the standards of where our libertarians now. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. He wants that stuff like that, but he's not used to me asking for equipment. It's usually the other way around. I usually give him stuff. Unlike certain other We Are Libertarian product episodes. Look at you, Boss Hog. Anyways.
What? Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
An alarming new... I'm not going to read this crappy article. This is junk. I've read it. It's junk. Because it's from F and Love Science. It's freaking junk, and it's just fear and clickbaity.
Right. So, what they're saying is factually true. But they're not giving you the whole story.
All right, let's go to the roots of it. Newsweek. Newsweek tells us the truth, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I know, right? I've got all the best sources for this issue. Freaking.
What you always want to do is look at the author and go look and see how many degrees they have, and you find none. So it's like, oh.
How dare you? You don't need a degree to do science on YouTube, okay? All right? I just want nothing but the best academics. YouTube academics.
Like Bill Nye Science Guy and all his doctorate degrees. Oh, wait a minute.
First off, the only doctor I trust on YouTube is
A Reuters investigation has found at least 4 city zip codes where 40% of children tested from 2006 to 2014 had high lead levels. The rate of high lead tests in these areas was 8 times greater than what was found among children in Flint, Michigan during the city's water crisis. Federal support has helped families in cities like Buffalo by moving them into new apartments funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. However, President Donald Trump wants deep federal budget cuts, which would take billions from programs used by local governments to protect children from the lifelong health impacts of lead exposure.
So you know the whole point of that video, right? Is at the end there, right? It's the attack on Trump. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I know, right? This whole thing.
All Trump's fault. Yep. It's all Trump's fault. No, so here's
it's all his fault. Look,
so radium is a naturally occurring element in the world. So yeah, it's going to be everywhere because it's naturally occurring. But unless you go out and effectively get rid of it out of every atom of soil in the world, it's going to form another. And it always has. And that's the way it is.
But I'm scared. They've got stuff in my water.
You scared? I mean, when I was growing up, so they used to use radium because it was luminescent. So they used to have these toys and things like that would glow, and they would use the radium from it to do that. It was a very small, minute amount. And as kids, we played with it, and we're all still alive. And cancer rates have been dropping the last 20 years. And what's funny is because it was posted there, I did some quick research and said, I look up cancer rates, right? Mm-hmm. And the first thing you see is cancer rates have been falling in the last 20 years, and then the UN coming out and saying cancer rates are going to rise the next 20 years. Based off of what?
The
it's
need
like
for donations.
it's crazy. So, also that not only have the cancer rates been dropping, but also the survivability from cancer have been dropping. And this is an area near and dear to my heart since my wife has been battling cancer for the last 5 years. So, I know a little bit about what's going on with the whole cancer thing anyway. So, California has been on a tirade of trying to label everything that they have that's got anything in it that's been linked to causing cancer has to be labeled on the product. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to put limits that are lower and lower and lower than what the EPA puts out. So all the radium levels are at the levels that are okay. The EPA says are okay, but other organizations are trying to say, no, you need a lot less than that in order to do it. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what level of radium is going to cause cancer. Right now, if you sit there and you drink a bottle of just pure radium, you're probably not going to come out too well from that, right? But trace amounts have always been there from the day we rose up out of the oceans. There's been radium on the planet, and invariably every human being has drunk radium in some form or another at some point in their life.
Yep.
And I think we survived as a species. Fairly well.
Yeah. Well, just part about being the human on Earth. You get radiated from radium. It's everywhere.
Every second of every day.
Yep.
So,
and you're also dating yourself when you said you grew up and played with radium and toys. That's wow.
Yeah, it was back in the 70s.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. We keep you because you're a Gen Xer. You're probably so close.
Well, it used to be made. Fluorescent lights used to be partially from radium. How many houses still have asbestos in them? We know asbestos causes cancer, so that's a real scare because that is a direct known link, right? Not just radium in a pure form is radioisotopes are radioactive, so yeah, they're going to cause some damage at some point in some level in your body, but most people have. So when cell division happens, this is the way cancer works. Cell division happens. There's copies of the DNA code that are in each strand, right? Okay. So there's usually double, and then there's always errors from time to time that happen. And because there's doubles of everything, it can usually fix itself. There's also a protein that will help repair those when they do have an error during division. Sometimes that doesn't work. That's when cancer comes into play. Radiation can cause more of those to happen. Therefore, there is a better chance that those errors won't get fixed properly. And that's when it's possible that instead of dying off, those cells could become cancerous. My wife actually has a genetic missing marker that doesn't create that protein. It's called Lynch syndrome. That doesn't have the protein created, so she can't repair those when they happen. So she's more susceptible to all kinds of cancers because of that. So that's how this all works, right? So it's not that the radium is causing cancer; it's that the radium can irradiate because of the radiation aspect of it. Any radiation can cause a disruption in that process of cell division, which can end up turning into cancer because of it. But it happens all the time for every type of radiation. There's not a direct link to say radium anywhere in your body is going to cause the cancer to happen, like we have with some other things we know that can actually cause it because of certain interactions. So it's a scare. I mean, they're trying to, because Flint has an issue, right? Flint has a serious issue that they need to deal with, but they're using that to scare people into, we need to give more money to the government and Trump's screwing us over.
Right. Yeah. We need more money. The government's not giving us because of Trump. Give us more money, or demonize Trump so we can get more money. And it's going into it's going into places where people don't have the best they don't have the best resources to, or the even like the knowledge of like this is what they're doing, this is what they're really doing. And it's because if you look at it like that, that radium average on here, and they're like, well, it's got these things here, and it's and then when you really come down to the radium levels, where was it at? I think let's see, chloroform, dibromine, chloromethane, radiological contaminants. Radium. This utility detected radium combined 226 and 228 radium, 226 radium, 28 uranium. Ooh, the radium contains to leach in the water with certain minerals from mining. Aha, it's mining and fracking. It's fracking.
Well, what you don't understand too is that radium actually comes from uranium.
But fracking.
But fracking, that's it. It's the enemy.
You also have fracking. Okay. All right, you don't want
seeping into our drinking water. So the question is it getting into the water table, or is it getting introduced into the water purification plants that aren't getting cleaned out well enough? So that's another thing we need to look at too. When you look up and see all those dots, most of those are around large cities.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And water being given out through a water system. I have a well. Mm-hmm. So if I were to test mine for radium, what would my radium levels be compared to a city water? And are the cities doing a good enough job in getting the radium out of their water levels? So the EPA has these standards on what the levels are. Mm-hmm. So the water companies are most likely just doing what they need to do to get it under those levels and then stopping.
Correct. Well, it's Indiana. We do terrible underground plumbing, and we'll take the money from the gas tax and anything going for the ground, and we'll spend it on other things above ground that look shiny. Wickender said you get 15 living just above the ground on the East Coast. Living on Colorado Plateau is 75 MREMs a year. Evacuate. Oh yeah, because you're so much higher up. So yeah. Or we've got WAL listener who that flies on a plane all the time. Or I wonder how Larry is and how much stuff he gets from just being on a boat going around the Ohio River all the time.
I mean, and not to discount, but even one little speck of radium could cause cancer, just because it could happen to interfere with that one process. But the odds are so stacked that it's such a small, minute chance of happening that just living, you're going to have a chance of getting cancer just because you're alive, right? The biggest cause of death in the world right now is being alive, right? That's 100% death rate.
Oh man, I'll have to fix that. I'm going to fix that. I'm not dying now. And
no one's talking about that.
Well, all I have to do is to rip open the heart of the TARDIS, become a fact, hard piece of time. I'll be fine. Don't worry about dying.
You can be Bad Wolf.
Yep.
You can be Bad Wolf. So there's the thing is that, and the problem with this is that there is elements of truth to all this. So this is a factual thing that this is possible, but it's being overblown for political reasons, and that's when you get into a really bad area when you start intermixing politics and science. Is that most politicians don't understand the science enough, so they are easily scared and take up causes that they don't understand.
But the site says chlorite harms my thyroid. Chlorite forms in drinking water as a byproduct of disinfection. Chlorite impairs thyroid function, making thyroid exposure most harmful during pregnancy and childhood. Okay? And then apparently the state was supposed to be it's 55.6 parts per billion, and the national average is 112.9 parts per billion, which Indianapolis is at 492.9 parts per billion. How is that good? Huh?
492 parts per billion?
I think that's what that says. Let me look that up. Make sure PPB is parts per billion. I think that's what that means.
It is parts per billion. Yeah, that's what it is. But I'm just saying, that's per billion.
Yep.
Humans have a very hard time with large numbers and understanding the scale of large numbers, right? That's why the national debt, everybody shrugs it off because it's just like too big for them to understand the real issues.
Because it is 20 trillion. It's too large. That number's too big. You can't.
Yeah. It's like you can't wrap your head around it. So there's a great guy on YouTube who used to, and he doesn't do this anymore, unfortunately, but he used to do things with pennies to show scale. And it's amazing to watch some of the scales of this stuff that he done. Because
did he do the debt in pennies?
Yes, 1,000 pennies.
Next Wednesday. Bring that next Wednesday. Bring that next Wednesday.
Right. It was so good because it's such a great visual of, because he's talking about the Obama tax cut, and he's like, okay, here's all the money that we spend. Benny basically translated out into a bunch of pennies that he had, and then he said, okay, now he's wanting to take several $1 million out of the budget, and it sounds like, because you're taking a large number from a larger number, it sounds pretty impressive.
Yes.
Then he laid it out in pennies, and he says, okay, you take the top penny, and he had 1,000 pennies listed out on this table, and he also highlights, this is the mandatory spending that we can't touch if we wanted to, the Social Security and welfare and Medicaid, Medicare, things we can't touch. And then over here is how much our debt is, and we want to take money out of here. So he takes the penny, and he takes a cutter, and he cuts the penny into a quarter out of the penny and puts the penny back. So that's how much he's talking about taking out of the debt.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I definitely got to see that. That sounds like an awesome video.
It's very well done.
Yeah, because of the simple fact that, $1 trillion, I remember having a conversation with somebody and just simply asked them, like, how many Lego pieces do you think there's been, How many Legos? And if each Lego piece cost $1, we still couldn't pay off the debt with all the Lego pieces. We couldn't stack 20 trillion Lego pieces together. Yeah, that's the only reason I can get my head even wrap around the whole scale of that. But I just had to think of each one of those as an individual Lego piece. But yeah, anyways, but EWG, hey, you know what? They also sell filters. I can get filters from them. Did you know that? You know that, Reinhold? Uh-oh. Game over, man. We lost Reinhold. Alright, anyways, back to me. Apparently Reinhold has cut out. Hope he's doing okay. Hope he didn't get droned. Alright, yeah, so there's the map. You can go on this website here. You can look up your area. Look up the fear. Understand the science behind it. Do what you guys want with this thing. That's that thing. Reinhold, did you have anything you wanted to bring? Or anyone in the chat want to bring something else while we wait for Reinhold to try to connect? Alright. Don't know what's going on with Reinhold. Look like he's gunning out. But we have been... How long have we been doing for? I think it's been... Alright, we've been going for an hour and 37 minutes. So that's hit our... that's a 90-minute goal. There's still more I would like to talk about, but it's getting closer to 10 o'clock. Getting closer to my daughter's bedtime anyways. So... Nothing about the Illinois' water is so bad, and that's why they're over there. They're the nasty people. We talked a lot. We Libertarians did a lot of the the S-word comments on WAL yesterday. On the episode, I think we took the first part to talk about those comments. Yes, Paul, I'm going to do, Eskija, I'm going to do a thing about the thing on Friday. But yeah, Illinois, comparatively, it's kind of a shithole. Look at it. Clear shithole. Yeah, Crowning, if you want to turn your voice chat on, you can come and talk real quick. I don't care. You're in the Discord. If I didn't want you in there, I'd kick you out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. You back?
Oh, it was a silly thing. Okay, yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there, but I think I accidentally hit my mute button.
Oh, okay. I think Crowning wanted to say something. Crowning, you want to say something?
Come on,
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, as far as the comments go, my whole thing is, can't we call shitholes shitholes? I mean, like, if you want to talk about Chicago, you're going to be like, oh, that's a shithole.
It kind of is.
I mean, everybody kind of agrees.
That's not very sensitive to the people who live there.
Chicago.
There's some great people who live in Chicago.
They think it's a shithole. They know it is.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that you're getting people who live in these places who are saying, hey, I live here, this is my home, you're calling my home a shithole. Well, it is.
Right.
Compared to
people in Africa want to leave Africa because Africa's not that great. Well, most of Africa.
If you look up on the Urban Dictionary, the places they call a shithole in the Urban Dictionary is Lawrence, Kansas, and the whole state of New Jersey. Okay? Okay? In the Urban Dictionary. All right? Even BuzzFeed called New Jersey a shithole. All right? You know?
Wasn't there an article about the person who was making the most political hay about this had been on record of calling someplace a shithole, and then Lindsey Graham yelling at him and him going, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Possibly. I
mean, it's
I feel like we should just be able to call places that aren't that great. We should be able to say they're not that great.
What you're getting into is that you could probably say, hey, those are poor countries, and those countries we should, that aren't as well off as we are. But when you start, people aren't prepared or don't like straight talk, right? And that was the whole thing about why Trump got elected, was because a lot of people were just tired of everyone dancing around it, always being mealy-mouthed about things, and he just says, if this place is a shithole, he calls it a shithole. And we all know what he means, and it's good to go, and we go forward. And I think that's where he got a lot of support from. So he's not going to stop doing it. That's just the way it is. But people are going to attack him on the left for it because they want to attack him on anything he says, anytime he says it, for any reason they can think of. Because that's their job right now, right? So to tear him down piece by piece, just like they did, a lot of Republicans did to Obama, where they would attack him on every little thing, even though he was right on some things. But that's just kind of what they do. And the left got all upset about the right doing it. Mm-hmm. But as soon as the power switches, they're doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's always been that way.
Yep.
And people, for some reason, are just, I don't know if they're just realizing it, or if it's a case of they're just younger and don't remember that this has always been the way it is. Because when their person was in power, it was one thing. Mm-hmm. And now their person's not in power and they're not used to what it's like.
Right.
Because of that 8 years. So a lot of people grew up under, I talk to people and they're like, yeah, I was like 4 when 9/11 happened. And I just kind of can't wrap my head around it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm 50, so I've seen all this stuff happen over and over and back and forth and back and forth. It's just always been this way.
I was 11.
That's the key. That's the key thing, though. Is that
awesome?
Yeah.
So that's my biggest complaint, is that so many people these days don't know an existence in the United States where we weren't at war with somebody.
Right.
How I can't grasp that thought process of how must that be like to just, this is your norm, that we have all this terrorism.
Yeah, more of my life has been war than not, for sure.
So it's sad that we're still in this state. We still can't break ourselves free of it. We shouldn't still be in this state of fear. And that's what it is. And everybody talks about we have to defeat the terrorists. They've already won.
Yep.
Their goal was to make us scared, and we are. And you've given them the win because you let them scare you.
Yep, pretty much. But here
that was a little tirade.
You're fine. The comment section. Let's see. Yes, Jackie Zombie. The Illinois is a shithole. Michigan's a shithole. Ohio's a shithole. And I'm most unfortunate, but according to this, the radiation map, Kentucky is also a shithole. We should all evacuate to Indiana. It's the only safe place to be. Mexico, Streetville. Yeah, there's tons of places in Mexico. That's also shit views. But there's tons of, just like the United States. Africa is so large by comparison. It has to have, let's say, 1% of every country, of every continent is a shithole. Africa, very large continent. That's a lot of shitholes. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Well, and here's the other thing nobody wanted to bring up in this whole conversation. Why are they shitholes? How much of that is because of what the United States have done in policing the world to try and put our people in place and support the wrong people because we think that they're going to help us politically? How much of that is our fault directly? And no one wants to talk about it.
Oh, Northwest Indiana has Chicago water. Sorry, LaPorte. take that. Take it. But no, yeah, that's what we talked about last night on We're Libertarians last night was, especially with Haiti, the influence of European influence, basically the French to deal with the devil, the United States just stabilizing Haiti for our own uses, and importing.
And this is what the Clintons did to him after the earthquake. I mean, that was a horrible thing that we did. And nobody wants to point the finger where it belongs.
Correct. Yeah, no one wants to talk about that. And and the other thing we imported to a lot of these African countries is we imported socialism to them too. Hey guys, have you heard this great guy named Che? He loves he got some socialism and communism for you too. So yeah, just like so they also have these bad, awful economic struggles. So yeah.
And before you go, I did post that 10,000 pennies thing in the Discord if you want to take a quick look at it. It's like 3 minutes.
Oh. I would like to, but it's after 10. And as much as I do, I can keep going for hours on the subject. I would like to tuck Gunther in tonight. It was really fun. I really do like this.
You people and your families.
Yeah. Sorry. I never thought I would enjoy being a dad, but I do. I thought I would hate it, honestly, but I enjoy it. So, all right. So, thank you everyone for joining on Low Key Wall. The crowning. Do you have any words before you want to get? Since you only got in for a short minute, I'll give you anything you want to wrap up on.
Just the one thing. It's the crowing. It's just a band thing.
The crowing. It's a band.
Okay. Well, it's a song from Coheed and Cambria.
Oh, okay. And I keep calling the crowning. Sorry.
Not that
Coheed and Cambria.
Everybody does it though.
Oh, good. Thanks. Reinhold, you got anything?
Nothing right now. Just be good to each other and have fun, and we'll be. I'm sure Harry will be back next week, and we can do this again.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I'll probably be back this Friday. Paul and I have been working on getting Liberty and Chill started back up, so we're going to do Liberty and Chill here in Indy. We've been doing... we did Liberty and Chill before back. Chris Spangle and Brett did it at Blackacre. We're bringing it back. It's at the Triton Brewery it's on Wheeler Road. I really should have had the Trello card brought up for this whole sucker thing here. Let me bring it up.
Are you guys doing it? Are you guys doing another wall tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're doing wall tomorrow night still. There'll be Thursday night wall with Creighton Harrington, aka Clayton, Chris Galt, Chris Spangle. Do go ahead and make sure you guys watch that episode because Clayton won't be with Creighton won't be us forever. Will eventually be moving out and going to New York to go and strike it rich for his new job. So hopefully, make sure you guys turn into that episode. He will be missed when he finally goes. But anyways, we'll be at the Triton Brewing Company on Fort Benjamin Harrison at 5764 Wheeler Road, Indianapolis, Indiana 46216. Website TritonBrewery.com. We'll be there. I'm going to be there around 5 o'clock. They close at 10. Their dinner will be open. Come have beer. Come chill with us. If you can't make it and you're out of state, you do anything like that, try to get we're going to try to get up a network so you guys can get in touch with other We're Libertarian listeners and you guys can create your own Liberty and Chill. So if you want to have Liberty and Chill Philadelphia, Liberty and Chill Austin, Liberty and Chill San Francisco, right in the BART system if you want. You can poop on things.
I know she didn't say New Hampshire.
I doubt the LARPers want to get together for that. I'm really mad. I've been trying to stay away from New Hampshire because there's a lot of New Hampshire people that have pissed me off this last month, and I've been trying to leave them alone. So yeah, they got that event going on Friday. I am going to try to IRL stream to Twitch on Friday. I've never done an IRL stream before. Always been here at the house with all the setup. So I went out and dug up and because I'm not loading Windows on my Linux PC, so I went out and got ye old Dell with OBS on it.
There's a Linux OBS, isn't there?
Yeah, but you've got to have the right. But if you don't have if you're having Windows, like the ones to write video drivers for it, and video drivers in Linux, to me, it's always since been a fail, so I don't even try half the time. That's why.
Also, a quick question: is it still going to be gaming on Friday nights or in the Discord?
Yes, we'll still game on Friday night. We gamed last Friday. We played Ultimate Chicken Horse.
So everybody out there, if you guys want to join the Discord, we have a good time there discussing all 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch me go on my little rants. They happen.
Yep, we're the we are now not the largest. We just got surpassed yesterday by Free Talk Live's Discord. We're no longer the largest libertarian Discord channel, but we are far the more active one. They have tons of people that are we're the best. We're more active. There's more stuff going on ours than Free Talk Live's. They're mostly active during when shows are going on, but we're no longer the largest. Which I didn't know we were. I don't know how close we. I didn't know we had the title of largest up until Free Talk Live surpassed us and announced it. I was like, "Holy smokes!"
Now we have a goal.
Oh, yes, yeah. Maybe I need to
because we have to beat Free Talk Live. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Well, when we get the follower goal, our follower goal, 25. 2 more followers, hit this follower goal, I think we'll go go for the yield Discord goal and get our membership up. So, yeah, please come out. Even this Friday after I leave Triton, I'm gonna go home, sit at the house. I'm not gonna be that drunk. I'm probably gonna have like 1 or 2 beers because I'm also it's a brew house. I'm gonna have Gunther with me. So if you ever wanted to see Gunther, come on out to Triton on Friday. I have Gunther with me.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the 7th day on 7 Days to Die, too. We need to get in there and take out some zombies for that.
Oh, we do need to prep for that. I think we need to plan that out. I think for next Friday, we should probably plan to do 7 days so we can get more people on it for the Horde night. Make sure everyone's there. I would hate to do the Horde with just like you or me.
Well, we got guns now.
We do got guns. I love my AK. So, yeah, that's a stream. Let's see. Paul says something. We're not done with Ark. We're not done. Ark 7 Days to Die is actually a lot more fun than I thought. Someone wanted to do Ark. I never wanted.
The Crowing was asking him if we had because his friend zone's the #1 server.
Oh yeah. I've never done Ark. It looks okay, but it's not my thing. I like 7. I like snappy games. I do want to try. I think the next game that I do download, I think I am going to try out Dirty Bomb because Reinhold's actually very good at that game, and I would love to play a game that he's actually excels in, actually good, because 7 Days to Die, it's like, why do we even give him a weapon? I don't even know.
Yeah, I built our whole...
He's great at building. I mean, beautiful. Gather resources, build, kill a zombie. No.
Kill a zombie with a bow and arrow. No. Give me that gun that I've got now. The SMG I've got. We're good.
I've killed more zombies with a stick.
I always get too close, and then they don't back off right. It's the timing thing.
Gotta practice. Gotta practice.
I'm not good at melee I'm not good at melee and Dirty Bomb either. That's why I stand back and shoot.
Oh, okay.
It's a great shooting game.
That's from me. I got that from just years of playing S4 League, in which I wish S4 League was still big with Twitch. I'd probably be #1 S4 League player. I would destroy everyone on S4 League. Anyways, that's for the point. Getting rid of I'm gonna go tuck in my daughter. All right, thanks to everybody for hanging out. So thank you very much. Also, all you guys' comments, everything you guys also post everywhere about this, thanking me or talking about this show, makes me continue going. Everyone that comes on likes to say thank you. And if you ever want to jump on the Discord to jump in, just jump on in. I don't care. As long as it's not abused, we'll keep going with it. All right, so bye everybody.